Hi everybody, welcome to BitLapse episode 24. I am your host again, because somebody is too shy, again, David Too Sly, or David, and with my co-host, Jamie.
Ass.
Hey, is that how you're going to say? You just called all of our listeners
No. I'm calling my co-host, David, an ass.
Well, I'm the host.
Hello and welcome, everybody, but to my co-host, or my host.
See, look at that. That was the intro
ass.
Right there. You just nailed it, except for the ass part. And now we have 5 minutes of audio just talking about ass. Anyways, let's get started.
Let's do
this.
It's
a little late tonight, so
yeah.
I'm going to try to hammer right through this. EA announces EA Access for only Xbox One. That came out probably...
It was
last week. Yep, it was Tuesday as usual. Actually, it was Wednesday after we record.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow it always happens. We record and then some major news hits. Anyways, what is your take on this new program from EA?
I'm kind of on the fence on this. I think it's a good thing for us, I think and I think just you and I, and the reason being is because you and I play a lot of the EA Sports games.
No, we don't.
Well, yeah, we do. We've played a lot of.
Well, guess what? I'm going to talk you off the fence, but I'm going to let you go ahead. Put up your point.
Okay.
Put up your point. I'm going to talk you down from that fence and be like, you know what, Dave? You are totally correct.
I don't know, and I don't think you will, because of the fact is we don't have a lot of information. We have basic information of a little bit of information that they gave us, because they're still working out everything that they're going to do with it. But from what we know of it, I don't think it's a bad thing, because of the fact of the different games that they have. Now, what they're saying is that we'll be able to see some of the, or we'll actually get some of the new titles as well as a lot of the old titles. Are you
talking about the vault process?
Yes,
or
the vault
they
process.
haven't really announced what's going to go into the vault, the decision process on that vault.
No, not yet. But
any of that.
Well, from what I've understood, or from a lot of the stuff that I've read, that we will get some of the new stuff. Now, again,
there's no incentive for them to put the new stuff in there.
It is incentive because the fact is that what'll happen, and again, I'm pretty sure you heard the same podcasts with, there was a couple other podcasts that we were listening to, but one of them, we were hearing that they were going to give us a couple hours to actually play the game.
Well, that's not the vault. The vault is totally different. I thought that was
part of the vault.
No, that's like the preview program, part of the EA Access, where these new games you have access to 5 days ahead of time.
Uh-huh.
And supposedly you're allowed to play it for 2 hours, and your game save will transfer over into the full retail release.
Correct.
The vault is you get the whole game, and that's probably going to be, it's more like a PlayStation Plus deal or the games with gold stuff.
Right.
But the thing, they haven't, like I said, everything is not written down on paper yet.
No.
It's just kind of out there. They haven't explained anything. This program is still in beta, so it's like they want to add the value there, but unfortunately, actually, I'll stop right there because you never really finished.
Yeah, no, it's okay. All I'm saying is that for me, it would be a value for me if we get in the vault and get the games, or even the new games, to be able to play these games, because we play enough of them. Like, we're talking about NHL 15. If that comes out, if we can actually get a subscription to that, or we play a lot of the FIFA games. And then if we get into maybe some of the Madden.
Yeah, but you keep on saying getting into these new games that we're not going to have full access to. We have 2 hours of access. That doesn't mean anything.
No,
to someone like me.
No, but what I'm saying,
you're basically paying for a demo.
No, right. But what I'm saying, even the older games, like if we can go back, like let's say we didn't get to play any of the NHL games, and you and I have played those in the past. If we wanted to go back, we can. And, we pay a certain subscription rate to it. Now, in regards to the amount, I don't know. I'm still up in the air in regards to the cost of that. For me, personally, I might do it just to see how it is, or how it is. Again, we don't know all the information, but what we know so far, it's not a bad plan. Yeah, it's like the Netflix type of deal, but you know what?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. Obviously, you have a different version of what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing. So let's hear what you have to say.
So basically, in order to get the full benefit from this program,
Uh-huh.
you have to be a person that buys 5 EA games a year.
Okay.
Because you're getting a 10% discount on digital purchases of new games, which ends up being $5-6.
Right.
So you buy 5 games, that's your $30 that will pay for a year of EA access. So you basically get your money back. If you're a person that buys 5 EA games a year, then it's a no-brainer.
Right.
But for someone like me, who I will probably buy 1 EA game a year, maybe 2.
Yeah, but you're just talking sports game. But I mean,
No, I'm not.
you're
talking
talking all the
Dragon
games.
Age.
Okay.
I'm talking Dragon Age, Mass Effect. Like those games don't come out every year.
No.
So, and I'm saying that they have more incentive to put their sports games in that vault for free because they release new games every year.
Right. Right.
And by the time, say, oh, well, we didn't get to play 2 years ago NHL, I could go to a store and buy it for $10, probably less at that point, just because of the turnover of sports games in general.
Though, don't you think they would also support the games What is it? Games with gold, or
Well, that's a different program. That's
but what I'm
another.
saying
That's
is that-
another part of the story that we'll get to after.
Okay.
But basically, this program is a good idea if you like EA games. If you buy, like I said, 5 games a year.
Well, obviously, with the there's a lot of games that are out. I mean, we're talking like a lot of the Need for Speed games. They're not coming out with one this year, but they will the following. They're taking a year off. But I mean, we have those type of games. We also have Battlefield. But obviously, this year's been a bad year for Battlefield. But we still have the other sports-like games that we have, plus other titles that they're going to come out with. I mean, you're not just talking sports games. I mean, there are a lot of other titles.
But that's what I'm saying. The most of their incentive is to put the yearly titles in that vault. They have no other incentive to put older, like newer titles. So the reason why Battlefield's in there is we all know that had a troubled launch.
Yeah, it did.
And there's a reason why it's there now.
Right.
FIFA, the new game should be coming out soon.
Right.
Madden, new game's coming out soon.
Right.
Peggle 2, that's just kind of out there. That's just a arcade release, so that's $15.
Right.
I believe. And that was the 3, right? 4?
That's
I think I said all 4. Yep, that's the 4 that are in the vault when it comes out. So it's like right now, it's probably not worth getting until they finally put down on paper what this is actually going to be.
Well, in playing the devil's advocate here, and on your side, it will affect those, like the PlayStation Network one. What is it? The PlayStation? The new thing that they came out with the games that they're having, and then
the PlayStation Now it's a totally different feature set that shouldn't be compared. It's basically this is in contest with Xbox Live Gold, with the games of the Gold, and the PlayStation Plus.
That's what I meant, is the PlayStation Plus. That's what I'm saying. It's going to hurt those two in one way or another, unless they do it to where they do the games with gold. They're going to make one game, instead of paying the subscription, you can actually pick it up with your games with gold.
Again, they have no incentive to give Microsoft any of those titles to put on games with gold now. Because now you're going to say, well, if you want that game so I'm putting quotation marks around this, free,
right?
You have to subscribe to our service.
Yeah, but again,
on top of your Xbox Live Gold.
So what is Microsoft getting out of this?
Microsoft is getting an exclusive.
It is an exclusive, but at the same time, it's almost like if they were hurting themselves at the same time.
Yeah, but it's not really hurting themselves because we see what they've been offering for games with gold.
Right.
They have been crap,
right.
pretty much.
Say, they're not really good games. I mean, what do we have? I even tried, I tried Crimson Dragon.
Crimson Dragon and Strike Two Zero this month.
They were horrible. And to get back on the topic, but like you said, I would think for some reason Microsoft would have to be getting something out of this. I mean,
it's called they're behind.
Yeah, they're behind.
They're behind in this generation,
but they're losing money at the same time.
But they're not really losing anything.
Well, no,
they're basically adding value to their console.
Well, I guess they're adding a new.
They're not adding more value to the Xbox Live Gold subscription,
right?
But they're adding more value to the console because people are like, well, I could get FIFA 14 and Madden 25 for free. Well, again, quotation marks. That's the mentality they want you to think, that stuff is for free, but you're actually paying for it.
Well, you know what this is? This is EA's Origin on Xbox One is pretty much what it is.
No, it's not pretty much. This is Origin running this program.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's their way of putting Origin on the consoles instead of,
Well, Origin's already on the consoles. This is...
No, it's not. There's no...
Yes, it is. All their online servers, that's all run through Origin now.
I know, but what I'm saying is through, how like for PC, there is a PC.
They're not going to have a separate friends list or any of that stuff.
No, but I'm just saying totally different way to get it on here, though. That's all.
No, it won't be that. This is... Origin is basically all their multiplayer stuff already. That's their multiplayer servers and everything.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because even if you look in FIFA right now, you have your separate friends list.
Right.
So all that stuff is already implemented in a certain way. And this is adding a different model because usually, kind of like before this year, I would buy a sports game.
Right.
Then I would trade it in probably 5 months later.
Right.
Now, that game has zero value to EA after I purchase it. And then I give it away. But this way, they're saying, hey, don't trade your stuff in. Buy it digitally. We'll give you 10% off. And, we'll give you incentive for not buying a used game. Just come, pay $30, and you got access to all these old games that you would normally buy used.
Now,
so that money goes back into that EA cash flow. EA cash flow.
But now, correct me if I'm wrong or not, but isn't it that we don't own these games? We're like renting.
We own a license to play
the games. And so what happens, you and I don't keep games that long, but what if there are games that we want to keep that long? Let's say 2-3 years down the road, and they no longer want to support it.
You talk about EA Vault?
Yeah.
Or basically they already came out and said, look, we plan on keeping the games in there as long as possible, but because of what they do with their servers, where they'll shut down a server for a sports game after so many years,
right, that
stuff will naturally be phased out. And usually that's like three years, usually, by the time that stuff goes away, depending on the game.
Yeah, I guess it would have to depend on the game. Because, there's still people who play FIFA 13, FIFA 12.
But the thing is, though, that's because they're all obsessed with that. That's a different crowd. But even so, if, say, Madden 25 is getting phased out, odds are the next version of Madden, which would be Madden 15, is already in the vault to take its place. Yeah. So you're kind of keeping that crowd up to date, and at the same time you're saying you're kind of hoping that they see what the older Madden is, and they get the itch to get the newer Madden. So it's also a marketing ploy and all this fun stuff. Like I said, if you buy a lot of EA games, it's a no-brainer. Do it.
Yeah.
But even right now, do it. But for someone like me, probably not so much. For you, I would tell you to wait.
Well, no, honestly.
Wait till it's out of beta phase. Wait
Yeah.
until they actually put down in writing how they are going to determine what ends up in the vault.
Oh, no, I agree 100%. Like I said, I'm not going to rush out and buy a subscription. I really want to wait and basically see what they're going to come out with and give us the rest of the information that they really haven't given us. They've given bits and pieces of what their plan is and, basically trying to bait us to be interested into what they're doing. But, for me, that's more money out of my pocket. And I was listening to GTR a couple days ago or yesterday just to hear what they were saying. And Paris said the same thing. That's more money out of our pocket. And, besides the subscription base that we pay for Xbox Live, plus, now EA wants us to do a subscription with them for this all access thing. That's more money in my pocket. My question is it going to be worth it? Is it going to be worth the money to shell out another, $6 a month or
it's $30 a year.
$30 a year.
You'd be stupid to only get it for a month.
No. You
trust me.
If
you get it for a month, just to figure out what it is. But if you start paying monthly, I will show up at your house and slap you upside the head.
No. It would probably
and make you pay for my flight to do it too. Because you're obviously made of money if you're doing that.
No, but I would probably do it for the first month to see what it's like.
Obviously, but even then, you wouldn't have to see what it's like. You see what's on the menu of things.
Will we get access to it? Well, I guess
you have access to it right now because you have the dashboard beta, right?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, I could do that if I wanted to, but I choose not to do the preview build stuff
Right.
because sometimes they change the party system around, then all of a sudden I can't target anyone in a party.
Yeah.
So I don't do that, but it is accessible if you are part of the dashboard beta group.
Though I didn't
which
know that.
there are a bunch of people that are.
Hmm.
But like I said, you don't need to pay that $5 because you know just by looking on the internet what's in the vault. You know what games are coming out.
Right.
So there might be, I could see instances where people start paying, and unfortunately this is going into that deep black road that I have a feeling is gonna happen, and to be a set a bad example where people say Dragon Age is coming out in November.
Mm-hmm.
So a month, they buy 1 month of EA access just to get that
2 hours.
5 days. Yeah, the 2 hours, 5 days ahead of release of Dragon Age.
Yeah.
And that they're going to see that, and that's going to take place of a free demo. Because really, you got to remember on Xbox 360, you remember how many demos were on that system?
Oh, yeah, it was time.
Especially early on,
Yeah,
like in the first 4 years. And then they slowly disappeared.
Yeah.
And now they're making us pay for demos.
Yeah, I guess you got a point.
And you know, it's not the EA access, it actually goes beyond that. Look at, you know, the Destiny beta.
Yeah, but we didn't pay for that.
The only thing, yeah, no, you had to.
Well, you paid,
Which was actually, I should have brought up, but I forgot about. They baited us into pre-ordering the beta. And then the day that we were supposed to unlock, they opened the beta 1 day ahead of time.
Right.
And then the day that it was supposed to open up for us, people that pre-ordered, they opened it to everybody.
Yeah,
which
was
kind of negated
the reason why we had to.
for it.
Yeah.
That's very disingenuous for them.
I have to agree with you on that. I mean,
and this is the BS that is happening now in the industry, and people are getting away with it. They're giving us these pre-order incentives, and then kind of making it saying, well, you didn't really need a pre-order anyways because we gave away so many codes.
Right.
Same thing happened with Titanfall. I didn't pre-order Titanfall, but I had early codes.
Yeah. And
well, the early beta codes because of the hookup from Gamertag Radio, but the second one, they were giving them out like it was nothing.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I mean, we were kind of, I think overly we were screwed in that whole essence. I mean, if you...
I wouldn't say we're screwed, but it's...
No, we were
because... It leaves a feeling of, you know what, this is why I don't pre-order games.
Well, that's true. But I did pre-order it just because I wanted... Well, and this is why I feel like we were screwed. Because of the fact is that I did pre-order this way in advance. I think when we saw it at... it wasn't even E3. It was before E3. And
now let me ask you a question. Did you pre-order it because of access to the beta?
Yeah, I did actually.
So then you got screwed over.
Yeah.
Basically, the only reason why I pre-ordered it is because I had extra money on a GameStop trade-in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's like, do you want to put it to a game? I'm like, all right. I'm like, well, I'll get a beta with Destiny, so I'll put it on Destiny.
See, and that's what I'm saying. And like I'm saying, I guess I'm just agreeing with you. The fact that, you know, they really need to be careful with this whole beta stuff. You know, you're getting people out there basically you're baiting people to give you money. And then all of a sudden when the beta comes out, by the way, we're giving it to everybody, you know, after
now
2 days after
everybody
the
that
beta.
Played on that Saturday is getting the special banner.
Yeah. And that's
everybody that had an Xbox One or an Xbox 360 had a chance to get that banner instead of just to pre-order people.
Right. And which is bullshit. Because you know what? Even my son, he didn't even have to do that, but he did. He went out and bought Destiny like 2 days before the beta went live. And, you know, and he wanted to get the key. Matter of fact, he went to GameStop. They didn't even have keys. And so he turned back the game and then went to Best Buy and they gave him the key that I think the day of or the day before the beta.
Yeah, Best Buy, I
live.
believe, actually emails out their keys.
Well,
GameStop was printing them out on the receipts.
Right. And so he ended up getting it. But all he had to do, which all of us, nobody knew that, you know, 2 days after allowing us in.
Not even 2 days. It was like a day and a half.
Yeah. You know, they're allowing everybody in. And I mean, I understand they're testing the servers and they're trying to figure out the strengths and weaknesses of the servers. And I get that. But, you know, you really I felt kind of screwed after the fact that we did all this, you know, we paid for the game just so that we would have access to the beta. And yet you open it up to everybody. That's a whole nother situation we can discuss later on. But, you know, regards to the EA access, I'd like to see it. And when I do see it, it's going to be a yay or nay for me. And like I said, I may do the first 6 months. I do, and I sat there. I kind of counted up how many of the EA games that I have. I mean, obviously, I don't think Sims is coming to consoles, but I mean, there's.
I wouldn't be surprised if it does come to consoles because it actually did very, very well on consoles the last couple of generations.
That's true, but and then what about SimCities? That was another one we kind of played. And then there was,
this is only on console, so SimCity's not coming to console.
Well, we don't know that for sure. I mean, they could port one over. We don't know that.
The reception for SimCity and the amount of problems they've had with it, that thing is not coming to console.
It'd be interesting. Well, you might be right. It may not. But, I mean, there are multiple games of EA games that I counted up that I purchased within a year span. And I think it was like 4 or 5 games. So, for me, it would be worth it.
See, for me, I've only purchased maybe 2.
So you had FIFA, and then I think that was it.
Plants vs. Zombies.
Oh, that's right. Well, that's more of it's EA.
No, that's EA.
Yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that was a purchase I kind of regretted after the fact because it came out a week before Titanfall.
Yeah.
And then we played it for 2 or 3 days, and then it was just gone.
I still play. I don't know. I played it a couple of
Yeah, you play it for like an hour every month, and that's about it. Which for you is nothing. That's basically you waiting for me to get home or something like that.
Well, as you were talking about trade-ins and segueing into trade-ins, GameStop is doing an overhaul on their trading now, so that what they're basically doing is they're taking away a lot of the incentives that they have or the bonuses that they've added on to your trade-ins, and now just giving you a bigger trade-in amount that you would get for the game.
Yeah, because traditionally you would go in there, they're saying, well, you could trade in for this game, or you could pre-order Destiny for an extra 25%. So they're trying to simplify it because their sales associates were having issues trying to explain it to customers because not every customer knows what they're getting into when they're going into a GameStop.
I was sitting there, and while we were getting ready before we started recording, I actually did a comparison between Best Buys and GameStop. Without this overhaul that they're doing, GameStop has a better trade-in value than Best Buy does. So
it depends on the titles.
Well, and
I've done comparisons in the past, and like GameStop is different too. Best Buy will guarantee a trade-in amount. GameStop doesn't. It goes by individual store inventory. So if one GameStop has 10 copies of Destiny used, that means that's going to devalue your copy.
Right.
It'll go down to like $25. And instead, if you go to a store that they're out of stock of it, they're going to give you the full 34.
Right. Well, and
it's always been weird. It's just, I feel, this will sound bad. I feel better going to GameStop to trade in games because I just don't know what to do when I go into Best Buy to trade in games. I don't know where to go.
No, you go.
I think you're supposed to go to customer service.
Yeah.
But then I have a feeling they don't know what the hell they're doing with that stuff. So I'm like, you know what? I'll just go to GameStop. It's easy. I show up there. Odds are they have a game that I want.
Well, what I've liked about Best Buy, and when I first purchased my Xbox One, I bought all the games that I purchased from Best Buy. And what was kind of nice about it is I can pre-order them online or get them online, and if they don't have it at that store, they'll bring it to the store or they'll have them waiting for me. The other best part is that let's say I bought a game there, but I don't have the receipt. They can look me up online and say, "Oh yes, Mr. Solis, you've purchased this game, and yeah, we can do the trade-in." Now, the crappy part about Best Buy is the only trade-ins they'll do is the games that you've purchased from them. You just can't bring in a GameStop game that you bought from GameStop and then try to take it over to Best Buy. They just won't do that. No, they wouldn't let me.
You can.
I don't know. My store didn't let me because I told them, they asked me, where did I buy it at? And I said, I think I got it somewhere. And they're like, well, we only do.
Why'd you say that? That's when you just lied.
Because I was honest.
When has honesty ever gotten you somewhere good?
Well, the problem is that they'll look it up.
Well, except for on this podcast, because this podcast is good, and the reason why you're on here is because you're honest, no matter how full of shit that is.
Whatever. Point being is, unless that's changed. The last time I tried to trade in a game, which has been a long time, they wouldn't accept my game, and I was honest about it, and I said this was a game I think I bought like at GameStop or something. But with GameStop, doing this overhaul, I think this is going to be another way of getting more people to come to GameStop. And, I even heard Walmart's trying to do the trade-in value games for video games as well. So, I mean, you had Best Buy.
I hate Walmart for that stuff.
And Walmart. Well,
Well, I'm just saying, anything for Walmart, if you want to go buy something, it's locked behind a case.
Right.
Which means you have to go find an associate.
Come on, you know what the shady people that are there. Come on, you've seen the
It doesn't
pictures
matter.
of people that walk around.
The thing is, though, that doesn't matter. The thing is, that means that's an extra step for me to go take, which actually is more than one step because I actually have to find somebody.
Right.
Then they have to find somebody with the key, because usually there's only one key in the department.
That's
so
true.
You're laughing because I'm right.
It's true. It's way true.
And you think that most stores would put less steps in between you purchasing something,
right?
Because then that means there's less time for you to think about not getting it.
Right.
And when I go to Walmart, I see stuff behind the case. I'm like, do I really want to go find somebody to open this case?
Yeah.
And 95% of the time, it's no. Because I just don't want to be bothered with having to go find somebody to open this case.
Right. And, and I think that's what GameStop, I mean, obviously GameStop is about just gaming. I mean, Best Buy is more of the electronics and, you've got laptops and stuff like that. And Walmart's more of a clothing / supermarket type of store with the electronic section in the back. I mean, it's not a huge section, but it's a big enough section, just kind of like
it depends
Target.
on the Walmart you're going to. A lot of
True.
those super Walmarts, they have some really big electronics section.
But it's not geared specifically for like a gaming store like a GameStop. GameStop makes it a lot easy for you to go in, you've got 3 games in your hand and they scan them in and they tell you what you get for them, now with the new trade-in value.
Well, no, what you're forgetting is they tell you what you can get for them. Then you're like, hey, do you have power-up rewards? This is what you could get for them.
Right.
Do you want that? You need to buy a subscription to Game Informer if you want that. Do you want to use some of your credit traded for the magazine?
Right.
No, okay. Well, can I interest you in pre-ordering this?
Right.
You get a 10%, 15% bonus. Well, that's going away that we know of. But
aren't they keeping the power-ups though? Aren't they keeping up that power-up?
Yes, the power-up reward is still there. But I'm just saying that you're usually hit by 20 questions.
Right. And that's the, and I think that's their way of just trying to make it a lot easier to.
No, they're not making it easier. They're trying to sell you. They're trying to upsell you.
It works.
It's a practice it's a practice a lot of people don't like, especially gamers that actually know what they're going into a store for. I go in there and I'm like, hey, I just want to get Mario Kart 8.
Right.
He's like, and I'm going to trade these 2 games. Are you sure you don't want to pre-order anything? I'm like, no, I'm only here for Mario Kart 8.
Well,
it's kind of like. Them. Well, I do. I've gotten to that point where I just ignore them, but it adds time to that transaction where I just want to go into the store, get it, and get out of there.
I agree.
And that's like all my shopping I always aim to do. I like Best Buy, if I'm going to buy like a stereo or something like that or a game, I usually did all my research at home.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to go in there, buy the one thing I went there for, and get the hell out.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's always, roadblocks or potholes that I have to try to dodge to get what I want. And it sucks.
You're talking
it comes to that Walmart situation.
Oh, yeah. But I think...
And it's not just games. Like when I went to buy my Wii U, like the website for the Best Buy showed that they had some stock. Then I go out there and already their Wii U section is probably 5 feet by 10 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about tall 10 feet,
right.
5 feet wide. So there's hardly anything there. The stickers are really tiny. You can't really read them. And I don't see any Wii U's at all. So I had to go hunt somebody down. I'm like, hey, do you have any Wii U's in stock? She's like, isn't there any on the shelf? I'm like, no, if there was, I probably wouldn't be coming to you.
Exactly.
So they go back in the stock room, and then 5 minutes later, they come out with like 2 Wii U's. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, do you have any like games of Mario Kart? No, we're out of stock. I'm like, okay.
Well, hopefully with GameStop, this will be an incentive, and I think that's what they're
trying to do. Well, it's a 20% more incentive, to be exact.
Well, to be able to get more for your game. Now, remember, it's not going to be cash value. It's in-store credit value.
Well, actually, you're still getting a 20% more for the cash value, but that's always still less than the trade-in value.
Right, and that's what they want. They want to keep your business there. So if they give you in-store value,
it's like a pawn shop.
Oh,
if you get You go to the pawn shop, you trade in something, they'll give you more credit for in store because that stuff didn't cost them that much,
Right.
as opposed to just cashing you out. It's like I said, you try to keep people in your economy that way.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll work. I might even go back to that. I actually kind of stopped going to GameStop. What we were talking about how those roadblocks and you had to play the whole 20 question games where no sir, no, I'm not interested, thank you. Oh well, there's also pre-release of, or you can order this, and then it's like, no, I don't want that, thank you.
No, though I forget what game it was. I think it was Titanfall. It reminded me why I don't go to GameStop unless it's like a last ditch effort.
Uh-huh.
So, midnight release, I get out of work at like 11:30.
Mm-hmm.
I get to the GameStop near my house, and then they're like, "Did you pre-order it?" I'm like, "No. Sorry, we don't have any copies for you."
Liars.
So
they do.
I went to another Best Buy like 15 minutes away, and of course they had a ton of copies.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm like, that's why I don't go to GameStops, especially for midnight releases. And like the only time I go there is to trade in games, or if Best Buy doesn't have a game.
Well, and that's why I used to go. That's why I used to go to Walmart. I would not go to Best Buy, and I would not go to a GameStop.
Nope, GameStop is higher on the list than Walmart for me.
Really?
It's higher. I want to say Target is probably higher on the list too, but the problem with Target is they never have games.
No, they're really always either out or they only have a few of them.
Right.
And I mean, that's why for me it was always easier. I mean, I have a Best Buy, a GameStop, a Walmart literally within walking distance once I got to the shopping center.
Oh yeah, I got a Target, a Super Walmart now, a GameStop, a Best Buy, all within like 2 or 3 streetlights.
Yeah, from each other. And so for me, especially if it was a AAA title that was coming out like a Titanfall or or even a Destiny, I wouldn't go there. I would literally walk over to Walmart and there was nobody there. And they may only have like 4 or 5 copies of them, but because it was a midnight release, I would show up at midnight and there would be nobody there, and it was great.
Yeah, but that depends on which Walmart, because sometimes they don't put that stuff up on the shelves until a certain time.
Right.
And then they don't actually unlock that purchase in their registers, which becomes a whole other hassle where they have to go get their nighttime manager to try to unlock it. And then half the time they say, well, I don't know how to do it, so you're going to have to come back in the morning.
Well, no, actually, the one that I went to, if it was a midnight release and you showed up at 11:58, until their clocks on their registers hit midnight, they can't sell the product. So we would literally have to wait, those extra couple minutes. They would give you the product, but you had to wait until it was actually midnight to actually purchase it. So it was interesting. A little thing that GameStop's doing, so we'll see how it works out for them.
Well, they know that the digital storefronts are trying to dip into their profits by getting us to buy everything digitally instead of the physical copies of things. So they're trying to incentivize, and try to keep people away from that EA Access stuff by saying, hey, yeah, you can still pay, sure, you could go save $60 on a new game with EA Access, but when you're done with it in 6 months, you're stuck with it. There's no trade-in.
Here's my prediction in regards to digital downloads. It's going to take over at some point. But my prediction is probably within the next 4 or 5 years.
Nope.
I think so. Honestly.
I think we'll get through this console generation and maybe halfway through the next one before it takes hold, because the North American data infrastructure is so poor compared to some of the other major countries.
But if they can save money,
it doesn't make sense yet.
Yeah, but if the developers can actually save money instead of having to, do jewel cases and CD or DVDs and front pages or the pictures that go over the jewel case.
Why do you think they're doing pre-order bonuses now?
Well, that's my point. Is that
GameStop is paying them to create pre-order bonuses. Walmart is paying them to do pre-order bonuses. They're trying to get away from it, but they're getting money to do the physical copies.
Right. Unless you're a person who wants the physical copy and wants it in your hand. For me, it's not a big deal. It's me about playing the product. I want the product. And not have to worry about, is there one in stock? Is there not one in stock? Oh, they don't have one, so I have to go to another store and find it? You know what? I don't need the physical copy. I can be home. I can go get on my Xbox One or even on Steam. Boom, it's there. I don't have to worry about it. And I
Well,
think at some point that's going to take over.
well, it's already starting to take over because moving on to our next topic, you just had a nice little segue. You didn't even realize it. But the new Xbox One update will feature pre-orders via app, and you were excited about some of the social networking stuff.
I was. Well, there was one of the gentlemen who actually does the preview for the updates he did a YouTube video on it, and one of them, or one of the updates, or in the updates, was basically they've turned your friends list into more of a social networking type of deal. So
not really the friends list; it's the feed list.
The feeds list, but no, it was actually on your friends list, because you could click on your friends list.
Well, there's friends and then there's feeds on the other side. It's part of the friends list, yes, but it's the feeds, which I don't really pay attention to because it always takes forever to load.
Not anymore. It was, from what they were showing, it was a lot more quicker, I guess, when you were going into your friends list. And now what they've done is that they've actually added video there. So if the person you can actually upload your videos. When you upload a
via video, Xbox One upload.
The via upload. So you don't have to go to the upload area to actually see your friends' videos. You can, whoever's on your friends list, if they uploaded a video and they put it up there, you can see it. You can comment on it, which is kind of nice, or you can even share it onto your page of your friends' video. So that's kind of cool too. So that was kind of one of the things that they've been working on, and what they've kind of added of the more of the social aspect of it, which, I think what Dave called it was more of the Facebook esque type of
Facebook implementation.
And you know what? If it gets that thing more involved, and hanging out with ways to chat with your friends, and you see their videos, because there's stuff Dave has done and the only way I can look at it is if I went to the upload page. At least now that I can go to my friends list, he did something cool, or he finished a quest or whatever, I can give him a thumbs up, or I can comment on it, or I can share it on my feed. It's all good,
or you can thumbs up like the 30 FIFA replays that it saves automatically.
No, I mean, actually, they've kind of cut back on it. I mean, we only
no, they haven't.
The last couple games you and I played, I only saw 2 videos.
Well, it's because you're letting every ball go past your keeper.
Shut up. Here we go. But the point being is that it was a new way of basically getting us more interactive with our friends, and making that page, or that part of the friends list, a little bit more intuitive, more active than just being able to see your friends there. The other nice thing that they actually did, part of that, was that now you can actually see when the last time they were on. So it'll say, instead of it saying that you were
was last seen on home.
Yeah, it'll say
was last seen on home.
Right. And now it'll say, it might say last seen at home 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago.
Yeah, kind of like it was back on the Xbox 360.
Exactly.
A thing about that feeds, though, I think I am screwed with that because of the amount of people I am friends with.
Why is that? Oh, you think
because
it'll take a long
you're
time
saying
to
that
pull
you're
it all
liking and sharing and commenting on different things in the feed?
Yeah.
If I've got 119 friends on my list, I think that's around what I have right now.
Right.
That feed gets filled up with so much nonsense that I'm not going to see half the stuff.
Well, it's going to be whatever's the last concurrent of the, maybe say, you may only see the last maybe 3-4 hours of whatever your friends have been doing.
Yeah, but that last 3-4 hours is a lot of stuff for 119 people.
Then have less
Especially when, okay. All right, I'm going to start deleting friends right now. Sparky7474 is the first one to go. All right, here we go.
All I'm saying.
I'm opening up the app. You are now a follower of me, and you're no longer my friend.
When you see the list, you can actually scroll up and down on it. So there, it's not going to sit there and try to bring up. I mean, it will try to bring up all the video, but it's not going to do it all at once. Or
no, it's just going to bring up a video clip. Like I said, it's a lot like Facebook, and like for me, unfortunately, I'm not going to see half that stuff.
You probably won't.
Because all the stuff I look at in my feed, it's, even right now, it's people having, I wouldn't say the feed's having issues telling what people are doing. Sometimes they'll be in a game for like 20 minutes, then something might, like the internet might hiccup, and then they'll supposedly go offline for a second, come back on. Then the feed will say, hey, he's back on FIFA, or something like that. And all that stuff is just going to get thrown out unless there's a way to control what content is actually posted to that feed. And I'm not sure if they're going to have that in the future. Like, maybe I just want to see stuff that's most recent or something like that.
Uh-huh.
There's got to be a way to parse all that data, especially for somebody that with a lot of friends on their friends list.
I don't know. They didn't really show anything of that or how to control it. I mean, one other feature is that you can actually turn off the notifications if you're streaming. So that was another little tidbit that they were talking about in regards to social networking. So if you were streaming and you didn't want the little notifications to pop up of, your friend posted this or you got a message or one of your friends come on, you can turn those off while you're streaming. And then when you're done streaming, they turn back on automatically.
So that's an option within Twitch app, basically.
No, it's actually in your settings. It's not in the Twitch app.
I thought it would be in the Twitch app. That's how they would control it, but
It's just another little features, and this is some of the stuff that's coming out in the Xbox update, as well as the pre-order via app. And I think that was something more that you were really interested in, Dave.
Well, because that was something I was complaining about 8 or 9 months ago, if you remember right. I forget what game I was trying to buy while I was at work.
Uh-huh.
It might have been Plants vs. Zombies. I think it was, because I wanted to get it downloaded by the time I got home so I could play.
Right.
But unfortunately, I had to wait like 2.5, 3 hours for it to download so I could play with you for like 5 minutes before you went to bed that one night.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I was on the app. I'm like, I can't buy a game on this app.
Which was kind of
have it.
Yeah.
My Xbox One automatically download it, which it was at the time. Now I don't do it anymore, but it was in like sleep mode.
Yeah.
I'm like, that just is like a no-brainer to be a feature out of the box for me.
Yeah.
And thankfully, they're finally adding it.
Which is kind of nice now. Yeah, and I have to agree.
Yeah, Sony kind of... Actually, I don't even know. I don't think it's pre-order yet.
Well, no, I think it's
Sony announced that you can pre-order online games now.
No, yeah, and then
Xbox you can't pre-order, but you can buy games through the app.
Exactly.
Yep. Okay.
So, which is kind of nice still. So now you've added another feature, and you know what? And this is Microsoft's way again, listening to the community and wanting to make sure that that they're realizing, hey, we need to listen to our community more, which they have.
Maybe they need to listen to us when we say we want preloading.
Preloading.
Seriously.
Nice.
Like, so many people had problems downloading Destiny during the beta because there were so many people hitting those servers hard to get that file.
Right.
And it took me forever. I had so many issues with that download that was ridiculous. That could have all been avoided if we were allowed to preload it.
Well,
and then only allow us, give us the last 50 megabytes or whatever it is to finish the download, kind of like Steam does with some of the games. They allow you to preload and then play it when it gets released. That's another no-brainer. Like, if you want us to be invested in this digital marketplace, then make it so we don't have to go to GameStop at midnight to play this game.
Right. Who knows? That would really nice to have, like you said, to preload the games and not have to worry about it. I'm telling you, it's just another way of pulling away from purchasing games, retail stores, and not having the physical copies. And I'm telling you, it's going to go that direction. I mean, it is.
Well,
going
it can't totally go that direction though, because Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, they all rely on these brick and mortar stores to sell the boxes.
Well, the only thing that they could be selling at those stores, fine, if they want to, just make sure that it's those.
There's not much overhead on the consoles itself. It's the games where these stores actually make the money.
No, I'm not talking the consoles themselves. I'm talking like the exclusive, like the Destiny exclusive.
Well, I'm talking about if Microsoft
package.
wants Best Buy to sell its box, or Walmart, where, say, Walmart is the biggest retailer in the United States right now.
Uh-huh.
If that is the retailer that most people buy Xbox Ones at, what is Walmart's incentive to hold the Xbox One if they're barely making any money on it, and they only make money on physical copies of games? So that means there's like a handshake there saying, hey, we'll put your hardware in the store because we can make some money off the games because of the write-up on them.
Right.
There's not much write-up on consoles at all. The games, it's a different story.
I don't know. I don't know how they
would
do that.
That's how would the retailers say, well, why should we give you this shelf space if all your games are digital? We're not making any money on this.
Well, then they would have to write up a new way of selling their consoles.
That would mean that the price of a console would go up.
True, it would go up.
So I don't see it happening very soon.
No, but
Because that means, look how many people complain about $100 difference between PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And $400 is expensive, even for the PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
What happens if, it goes digital only and they charge $50 more for a console?
Well, I would like to see what the percentage ratio is between people who go out and buy physical copies versus those who now can download the copy of a game.
That Xbox Live does not put out those numbers. Well, Steam does not put out those numbers.
No, but it would be interesting to be able to see what the percentage of people
an interesting metric in the background to look at and compare.
Yeah.
And, it is still, like, I think that the PlayStation 4 has a very high connection to PlayStation Network, but Xbox, I'm just going by Xbox 360 numbers, it was still only like 40 to 60% of people have actually connected their console to the internet.
Really?
Yeah, it's not very high. Like I said, our internet infrastructure here in the States is kind of bad.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And it's very expensive if you want to download a 30 gigabyte game. A lot of these internet companies have limits, and like the base version of the internet, if I was getting the base version, it would take me probably a day and a half
to download
a 30 gigabyte game.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people are dealing with.
Yeah. I never really thought of it that way.
It's
but
not
I guess
cheap.
It would be pretty expensive, to try to download such a big game. And
especially if you want it instantaneously. Like this, that's also one of the benefits for me going to a store buying a game. Once it's in my hand, I go home, I put it in my system, and I'm playing. Which, it's not as quick as that anymore because of the mandatory installs, but it's still a lot faster than downloading a 30 gigabyte file.
Well, but now...
Especially for me.
30 gigs, that's huge. How many DVDs are you going to need?
I'm talking about this gen. Most of the games are 30 gigabytes.
Well, that's my point. So now you're using double layered discs that they go from...
They're using Blu-rays.
Well, Blu-rays, which are still, they're only, 8 or 16 gigs?
No.
Yeah.
No. You're thinking DVD. A DVD is 8 gigs, I think.
No, it's 4 point something. I can tell you right now. Here we go. Well, my point being was just really is that, it seems there's more money cost in that. And to be able to...
25 gigs for a single layer Blu-ray, 50 gigs for a double.
That's Blu-ray. So most of these consoles have gone to Blu-ray, but even still,
all these consoles have gone Blu-ray except for Nintendo because they're kind of like a generation behind.
Right. Okay, so now we're at games now that are running almost a disc and a half of 2 Blu-rays. You're going to need 2 Blu-rays now.
No. The biggest game that has been released was Wolfenstein, and it came on 1 disc for you.
For physical copy of it?
Yeah. Yeah, because you got to remember they're still
compressed.
They are compressing them because you install it on your system.
Right. But even compressed,
so they are compressing it.
Interesting, but I really like to see what's going to end up happening when these games get bigger because they are going to continually keep growing, and then you're going to be dealing with multiple discs, and then even what was it? Forza came out in 4 discs on the Xbox 360. Forza 3 did, and that
it came out on 2.
No, there was you got the extra tracks and all this stuff.
That was on a second disc. There was 2 discs.
Wolfenstein,
right. Though, was the example where it came out on 4 discs, as opposed to the 1 Blu-ray of the Xbox One.
Point being is that it's going to be a lot of discs when these games get bigger. I just think it's a lot easier. Honestly, you just have the download. Preloading would also help with that as well. You get...
Yeah, but like I said, data limits on internet connections and speeds and stuff like that. Like, what is cheaper?
Well,
get in your car, drive to a store, pick up a game for $60,
right,
and drive back.
Yeah.
Or pay for extremely fast internet, and then download it in that same amount of time.
I guess it all depends on your means and what you can afford and what you can't afford. Is it cheaper? Yeah, absolutely.
And then you don't have the trade-in advantage either.
No, there is no trade-in.
That people like me actually rely on for some of the games that I buy.
I'm kind of over the whole trade.
All right, Mr. Moneybags.
I'm not. I'm just saying. I'm just a person. I guess maybe because I'm getting lazy in my old age. I'm just not that eager to want to go and turn in 12 games and only get $30 for them.
That's because you waited on them for too long because you never finish anything.
Here we go with the finished thing. Matter of fact,
well, I'm to blame too. I started Wolfenstein. I started Far Cry 3. I haven't finished those yet.
Just to let you know, I'm almost done with Wolfenstein. This last weekend, I'm almost to the end of Wolfenstein. By the way,
how do you know?
I don't know. Well, the way the story's going, I'm almost there. It seems like I'm almost there. I hope I'm almost there.
I told you that game is actually very long. It's like 14 hours. Crazy. So I don't think you're that far into it.
Well, we'll see. I'll let you know.
Not to mention Dark Souls 2, which you're probably like 2-3 hours away from beating it for the first time.
Yeah, well, yeah. And you've beaten it, what, 3 times?
2.5. I think it's 2.5. 1, 2. Oh, yeah, I did beat it 3 times. No, 2.5. I lost count.
Obviously, it's a game that you like very much.
Well, I put like 90 hours into it.
You did a lot of hours. Going back to our topics here, was we were talking about Xbox One. They just talked about, for me, what was exciting is that now Neverwinter is going to come to Xbox One. That's not going to come out until the first half of 2015, but it will come out in 2014 in China. So
to clue people in, Neverwinter is actually a free-to-play MMO that was, I think it was officially released last year, or the beta was last year and they released early this year. I can't remember the time frame for that, but this kind of echoes your thoughts of every time we talk about Xbox One and what Microsoft needs to bring to the console.
They do, and it's finally here for me. I mean, obviously I had to wait for the beginning of 2015, but finally we now are getting a true MMO for the consoles, and it's now about time.
The real question that I held back from you when you were talking about this pre-show is they still haven't said if you need an Xbox Live Gold subscription to play this.
No, they haven't said if you will or not. I would assume.
And if you do, then technically it's not free to play.
Well, none of the games would ever be free to play then. I mean, we're paying a subscription and we're paying for the game itself. So, I mean.
No, there's free to play games on PC that you're not paying for the ability to play them.
True. There's Firefall and there's Dungeons and Dragons and Lord of the Rings and
yeah, there's all those. But I'm saying when you come over to the Xbox infrastructure, and then we're already paying for internet either way, no matter what. But then if they put a tier, like a pay window, where you have to have Xbox Live Gold, then that game is not really free to play. You're paying to play online. And these are online-only games, so it'll be interesting to see how they handle this. And I have a feeling, since this is for the Chinese market right away, that it might not be behind the Xbox Live Gold window.
That would be nice.
But that's a different branch of the Xbox division. And who knows what the North American division will do when this happens to come to this. Well, they're saying that they hope to have it over here for 2015.
Yeah.
That's the most interesting takeaway of that whole news story for me.
But for me was that, obviously it coming to consoles now and them actually starting to get the feel of MMOs. I mean, obviously we still have Destiny that's coming out, which is a first-person shooter MMO type of game. But now
they try to say that it's not an MMO.
I know. You know, it was funny. I was listening
to a shared shooting experience.
They called it a first-person shared shooting experience or something like that. And I was like,
it's not really an MMO.
No, it has MMO.
It has MMO properties, but if you look at it, I think at most you have 12 to 16 people in a zone at a time.
Maybe, I don't know.
That's not really massively multiplayer.
No, I mean, obviously, I mean, you're not.
That's not doing
WoW
anything different from a regular game. So it has a lot of MMO based elements, but it's not an MMO.
So then my question is Neverwinter going to be a kind of a secluded type of Destiny type of feel, or is it going to be a true?
No, that's a true MMO.
Well, and that'll be nice. I'll finally be able to play a MMO console. A lot of the guys, and just to let you know, a lot of people that have been playing Neverwinter have actually been playing it with the Xbox 360 controller. They actually say it actually feels better to play that game specifically on an Xbox 360 controller. So if you
that's gonna be a problem then.
Why is that?
Because we'll have to use an Xbox One controller. Oh.
Shut up! Somebody slap him. Somebody slap him. This is what I deal with on a daily basis. Point being is that it's going to be.
I bring the smart ass, you bring the dumb ass.
Anyways.
But basically, what he's trying to say is the developer is been trying to implement the game controller to make it a better experience. And from what was explained to me in that IGN article that you found, it sounds like it should be. It sounds very intuitive, and like you hold left bumper down, all your actions on the face buttons change. Another game that was like that, but you didn't play, was DCUO.
Yeah, I didn't play that at all.
Yeah, I played the beta on PlayStation 3, and it handled it similarly. And I think it's kind of like when Halo or Call of Duty came out, it basically set the grounds for, hey, this is how you do a first-person shooter on a controller. And I think DCUO kind of did that in a good way, where they pretty much set the grounds. This is how you should do this kind of combat and this kind of world and stuff like that. So it's nice to see that other companies are seeing that and implementing it. But at the same time, I know you're probably kind of disappointed. Actually, I'm not kind of disappointed. You are really disappointed that it doesn't support keyboard and mouse.
I would have kind of digged that.
Because we have USB ports on these things. And yes, we can hook up a keyboard, but why not add keyboard and mouse support?
Yeah, I don't see why there would. I mean, especially you would actually get a lot of the PC players maybe even come over to the console because now you're supporting that.
No.
I would.
A person that is really concerned about their keyboard and mouse is concerned about the frames per second and the resolution that they're going at.
It's just, no, maybe not even just that.
But they're major gamers.
Well, the point being is that they're so used to that feel, the way that it plays, and you've got more options and more the ways that you can. I mean, obviously, you're not going to probably be able to set macros or anything like that, but
just thinking about it, just how many games don't even let you map your controller? They give you presets.
Yeah.
So I highly doubt that we'll ever get mouse and keyboard support. Just because
don't say
developers
that because you never said that there would never be a keyboard on a console either.
When did I say that?
That was a long time ago.
Oh, really? Why don't you go look that up?
We weren't podcasting then.
Well, because they added keyboard support to the Xbox 360. And there was a keyboard for Dreamcast, so why would I say that?
I don't know.
There was a Dreamcast keyboard.
There was not one for the Xbox 360.
Yeah, there was. There was keyboard support for the Xbox 360.
You're going to have to look that up and show me.
I'll show you later.
Okay. I think we hit all the main topics anyways.
Yeah, we went a little too long on a few of them, but that's okay because I thought it was better conversation than some of the other topics that we had outlined.
Yeah.
What we wanted to close up on, though, is we wanted to announce a third member to our staff at BitLapse, Kyle. He has been working in the background with us from the start with our logo, and he's been helping Jamie get the YouTube page up. And, just from, how long have you known Kyle, Jamie?
God, I've known Kyle. Oh, he's going to hate me for this, but probably.
Diapers?
No, not that old. Probably, not that young. Probably about 10, 11. It was right when both my son and him started going to, my son
junior high.
Yeah,
probably,
it was junior high.
So 9 years now.
Yeah. It's been a while. So I've known him, and he's kind of grown up with this family, and he's been in and out of the house. He's, like I said, he's almost like family. He comes in here, opens up the refrigerator, he stays the night constantly. So he's always been really family-like to us here. And he's just been a really good kid growing up, and has been very. He's always been playing games. I mean, he can tell you almost anything about almost any game on any console. He's well-rounded and well-versed in the gaming community. So.
Yeah, exactly. Like that. Any conversation we've always had with him, he's bringing up, stuff that we might have just recorded a show on, or stuff that we're probably going to add to our topic list anyways. And I noticed that, and it's kind of rare that to run into somebody that can actually talk about that stuff and have an opinion on it. And we are aiming to, in the future, to bring him onto the podcast. We just have to get a couple of his audio issues, aside. Right. And he is still helping with a bunch of logos and graphics and stuff for us.
Yeah, stuff in the background.
Yes, working on the stuff to get the BitLapse app for like Android and iTunes Marketplace up and running for us, because I'm just not good enough yet.
Right.
And it's not like 15 years ago where I was a Photoshop kind of pro.
Right. And
I don't have any of those skills anymore.
right. And just to kind of let you kind of get an idea where Kyle's coming from, he's actually in college right now. He's actually going for, well, he wants to do network security, but he's been doing a lot into graphic work. He did it in high school.
Yeah, he's done some website design courses and stuff like that.
So he has a lot of that updated background stuff where even myself, I mean, he's actually been teaching me a lot of Premiere Pro right now. So I've been really hooked on that, and I've been learning that to help him out with a lot of the YouTube stuff, as well as he's been giving me information. So it's kind of nice to have that type of young, fresh type of person onto our show.
Young blood.
Yeah, exactly. Who can, he's well versed in, like I said, in the gaming community. Like I said, he can tell you about almost any game.
And he's a lot more into the free-to-play games than we are, too.
He is. And, whatever you guys do, don't bring up tanks, guys. I mean, he can tell you specifically how the bullet drops. He'll tell you ratios. He can tell you the percentage of how much damage these tanks do. It goes on and on and on. But, I mean, that just tells me and tells Dave that, he's really well versed in gaming. I mean, he can tell you a lot about the different games and stuff that might be useless information, but it's informative. And so it's kind of nice to have someone like that. And so once he gets his audio squared away, we'll actually start having him on the podcast. And so when he starts coming on, you guys welcome him. Let him know how he's doing, and go to our webpage and tell him, say hi to him and stuff like that. So he'll...
Yeah, you can follow him on Twitter. Just say hi or something like that. He's at High Voltage, which is HII_voltage. Also, this kind of echoes back to our pilot episode and stuff like that, where we try to bring in people that are basically family. Me and Jamie have been playing games forever, and we're basically brothers by this point.
Yeah.
And Kyle's basically been your son for the past 8-9 years. So
pretty much, yeah.
And I've known Kyle for probably past 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Just playing games with them and Jason and stuff like that. And I think we made a very solid addition to bring him up aboard. If it doesn't work out, then we'll just both beat his ass. But I'm sure it's all going to work out fine.
He'll be fine. And like I said, we made it very clear that, it's very important that he's, part of the group and part of the family. And, we wanted somebody like that. And that gives us that third dimension to our podcasting.
Not even just a third dimension, but also the flexibility to actually, say something comes up where, like tonight, I had to work late. And I didn't get home until like 15 minutes after when we usually record.
Sure, yeah.
In the future, then Kyle and Jamie could record a show.
Right.
Or if Jamie's not feeling well, then me and Kyle can record a show. And we've already kind of implemented that into our Thursday night streams, where we went from the Dave versus Jamie format to a BitLapse Brawl.
Right.
Which you can see on the YouTube page right now. We played Mount Your Friends, and it is kind of hilarious.
Yeah, you got to watch it, guys. You got to watch it.
But we will revert to like the Dave versus Jamie, or there's been a couple of weeks where Jamie's not been able to make it because he's been surprised with different plans.
Right.
That's the problem with getting married.
Exactly. Yeah. No.
Don't let Wendy hear that. Don't let her hear that. But either way, then it becomes like Dave versus Kyle or Kyle versus Jamie and stuff like that. So it's gonna be kind of an amoeba where we're able to be a little bit more flexible. We're not relying on just two people to be around. And that means more content for you guys, ultimately.
Right.
And it's looking good for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm excited to have him on, and Dave's excited to have him on. So, again, Kyle will be joining us as soon as he gets his audio squared away.
Yep, I have to do a little bit of talking to with him and hopefully get all that fixed by next week.
Right.
If not, like I said, we really want to get him on here. That way, the audience gets to know him. And you can see he actually knows what he's talking about and kind of attract a younger crowd. Because right now, we're two men in our 30s. And we show it by talking about Nintendo and Atari and Sega Genesis and stuff like that.
I mean, we're going back talking about BBS stuff. And
well, you were. I wasn't. I had no part of that. I had no part of that. My earliest gaming was probably on an Atari 2600 and maybe followed by an Apple IIe. And that's it, sir. I wasn't programming my own games or anything. You're the old man here.
Yes, I am.
That just makes me... I'm not the young man anymore.
Whatever.
Shit.
Yeah.
I am now the middle man. The middle-aged man. Which, god damn it, the middle one is always the most weird. Shit. What did I do to myself?
Well, you've
Anyways, we
always
need to
been
wrap
weird.
this up for this week. You know what? I'm weird for entertainment value.
All right.
And you know it.
You're right. Let's wrap this up tonight, guys. Again, if you want to go ahead and get a hold of us, you can reach me on my Twitter at JamieS7474.
And I'm at David2Sly everywhere you look. So thank you for joining us, and we hope to catch you guys next time.